Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Way. Live United. I'm Terry Westerfield. And joining me today, I have friends in from Jewish Family Services of Greater New Orleans. I want to welcome to the program Michael Steiner, who is the Executive Director of Jewish Family Service. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Terry. Thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, and you've brought a great crew with you. Rachel Lazarus Erickson, who is the Director of Clinical Services. Welcome back, Rachel.
Hi, Terry.
Also joining us today, we have Jane Levine, who is our Lifeline Representative Program Coordinator. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Terry. Good to see you again.
Oh, it's good to have you here. And Fran Deinhardt. Fran is a clinical social worker, and also she is the Older Adult Coordinator. Welcome.
Glad to be here, Terry.
For those of you who are tuning in today, let me tell you just a little bit about Jewish Family Service of Greater New Orleans. JFS is a social service agency, and it's dedicated to preserving, strengthening, and enhancing the well-being and self-sufficiency of individuals and families at every stage of life. Now, this is something important to know. JFS, Jewish Family Service, is a constituent agency of the Jewish Federation of Greater New Orleans, but it's also a community impact partner of United Way of Southeast Louisiana. And Michael, I'm thinking maybe we could start it off a little bit talking about maybe a little history of it and when it was established, but also something very important. I know that you and I kind of were emailing back and forth to let people know it's Jewish Family Service. You are there for the Jewish community, but your delivery of services is far much broader in scope.
Thank you very much, Terry. We were formed in 1948. We have a 66-year tradition, and there are over 125 Jewish family services around the country, and each one is different based on the needs of that community. So as you look at different JFSs, if you were to line them up, they would all be different. Our areas of concentration have always been in the mental health arena and in geriatrics. We feel a really strong commitment to provide mental health support and treatment for people in the region. All of our services are provided on a sliding scale, which is important, and we serve everyone in need without regard to their age, gender, religion, socioeconomic background, disability, sexual orientation. We feel part of this community, and we really value the work that we do to help the community improve its health.
And you are valued. I always say that you're one of those smaller agencies that has a really big footprint, because you do reach so many who are in need. And you're talking about the idea of mental health, and this makes me kind of want to jump over right away a little bit here to Rachel, because you're the Director of Clinical Services. And maybe you could talk briefly just about some of the programs that are going on. We want to go a little bit more in depth. But also, I'm thinking right now it is topical. Everybody is talking about things like domestic violence. We have talked about, and we're going to get to Teen Life Counts and these other programs that Jewish Family Service deals with. But in your services, because I know that in your past you've worked with Tulane Legal Services, correct? Yes.
Yes, I have.
Okay. And you dealt with domestic violence. Is that something, does that come under the heading of counseling, Michael, and everything that JFS might still delve into here?
Sure. Wow, you have a great memory. Yeah, I did some training at the Domestic Violence Law Clinic at Tulane when I was in social work school. In our counseling program, as Michael said, it's open to the whole community. We have 3 locations. We have Metairie, we have New Orleans, and we have the North Shore. And it does sort of run the gamut. We help people cope with stress, certainly manage anger, which falls under domestic violence, effective parenting skills, maintaining personal and business relationships. So certainly we see a little bit of everything. We do solution-focused therapy. We do cognitive behavioral therapy. We also recently added eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is EMDR, which is specific for victims of trauma. We also have parenting coordination, which helps parents in the legal system. We have Prepare Enrich, which is a relationship inventory for couples. and as well as many other things that we have going on. So our counseling program is really vast, and we try to help as many people as we can.
I was saying, talk about encompassing. Can we go back for just a moment? Because that's something new with the trauma. And say it again, it's
eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's EMDR.
Okay.
It's a specific treatment method that one of our therapists has brought to the table.
And again, and this helps you because you can either diagnose or tell someone has had that, or it helps you deal because you see this.
It's actually reprocessing trauma. So it's
okay.
specifically helpful for post-traumatic stress disorder. It can be very helpful for people returning from the military, and it helps them reprocess some of the traumas. And it's really an effective treatment method.
You hate to bring it up because it's been 9 years now, but there are still those of us out there, people we know, maybe even family members, who are still having some difficulty in recovering from Hurricanes Katrina, Rita, Isaac. We all pray nothing more comes this way. Again, I think it's remarkable how Jewish Family Service always adapts to the needs of the community. And Michael, maybe that's something you kind of addressed at the beginning of the program.
I did. I think it's important. One of the attributes of our clinical practice is the use of what's referred to as evidence-based practices. So these are practices that have been developed in research settings and have been tested and evaluated and determined to be effective. So you'll see not only in the physician world, but also in the mental health arena, different interventions that are being developed that have been shown to be effective. That really is a hallmark of a Jewish Family Service for the services and programs that we offer. We feel it's very important to bring to the community proven techniques and interventions so that we can be effective at what we do.
Well, I think having strong outcomes like that is also what makes Jewish Family Service, United Way, and some of our other partners all good stewards of the donor dollar, because we cannot do the work we do without the generosity of others. And there's so many things I don't. Jane, I keep seeing you over there, and don't forget, I'll be with you soon, Fran, too. But this is kind of a perfect opportunity that you recently had an event, and there's someone who's been very special to Jewish Family Service. And perhaps you can talk a little bit about that, Michael.
In the last week, we had the pleasure of honoring Max Nathan Jr., who is an accomplished local attorney, has been very active in a number of civic organizations and Jewish organizations. He's been a real centerpiece of the community for many, many years. We honored him in our annual fundraiser, which is a major and very important source of revenue for Jewish Family Service. He was humbled and touched by the experience. We had about 250 people that attended, and it was a delight. 40 years ago this year, Max was president of Jewish Family Service.
Oh my goodness, so it's come full circle.
So it was really an honor to be with his family and to hear the tributes and to talk about many of the programs and services that we offer today were started by Max 40 years ago. So later we'll talk about the homemaker program, and he was the one that hired the first homemaker for Jewish Family Service.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's not wait. Let's segue right into that, because that is a well-known program, and one that I think was actually, yes, I was going to say before its time, because 40 years ago there weren't a lot of folks out there or social services providing this kind of care, and it was really needed, still is. So perhaps, Fran, if you can go ahead and talk a little bit about the Homemaker program.
Sure. So the Homemaker program is, of like all of our programs, sliding scale fee based on income, and the goal is to help older adults to maintain their independence by allowing them to stay in their home. We provide transportation assistance as well as assistance with light housekeeping. So the things that they're just not able to do for themselves anymore, like laundry, mopping, basic upkeep.
Well, I think I'm just noticing the similarity of that program, because once again, it's going back to your mission and trying to, about the well-being and self-sufficiency of individuals and families. And I think that's much like, the mission of United Way. And we're always talking about self-sufficiency and the fact that when you're an older adult, not only are you more comfortable, and I think some of your best practices here would show that it's better if you're able to stay in your home. It's also more cost effective for the individual, for families, and taxpayers. So it's a win-win all around.
Oh, definitely. Our homemaker staff are very experienced and compassionate. They're used to helping people with disabilities. So getting the homemaker program is a great way to help someone to maintain their independence.
And how does one, well, Michael, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that one of the great things that Fran does is meet with all the homemakers every month. They go through all of their cases, and there's opportunities for ongoing continuing education. So if there are clients with certain clinical conditions or needs, maybe they're new needs, there's a need to educate our employees about how to best take care of those individuals.
And I would think when you see the individuals the way you do, it also, you can learn more about them and sense if there is something else that's coming up in their physical character that perhaps is oh, this she or he is going to need some additional help, or maybe we should talk to their family. Maybe they need to see a physician or some other things. So it's kind of, I'm just going to say, like little angel wings and an extra pair of eyes out there. So you really do a good job with that. And speaking of older adults, to the extent that I'm going to just kind of flip over here a little bit, and we'll come back. There's so many things to talk about that I cannot leave my friend Jane Levine hanging over there. Jane, Lifeline. It is truly that for so many people. And again, JFS, one of the first, if not the first, to provide this kind of service as well. And I'm saying older adults, but I would imagine those with disabilities or other problems also, it's a great benefit to them.
Absolutely. And actually, we partner really well with Fran's programs because the goal is for people to remain home and to age in place. It is a great way for people to be able to stay home by having Lifeline. It allows them to be able to get help and assistance. And yes, it's not just for seniors. It's really for anyone who would like to have a little added layer of protection in their home to be able to get help at any time, day or night. Lifeline is a 24-hour-a-day program. We've been doing Lifeline. Jewish Family Services has been doing Lifeline since the beginning when it was invented back in the 1970s. So we're really good at what we do. We've pretty much worked out all the kinks. There's lots of good understanding of how to best help the people in our community. If they get Lifeline, they're fortunate because we do really know how to manage it. And because of who we are and what our mission statement is, it really does allow us to help people remain home safe. And by managing it through the agency, they're getting the best possible resource that's available in that industry.
Jane, expand upon that a little bit, if you don't mind, for those who are listening today, how they go about setting it up, what the requirements might be. And again, I know that not all services are free, they can't be. But is there a sliding scale, and how does this work?
Yes, absolutely. Like all of our services, we do work on a sliding scale. Our goal is to get Lifeline for anybody who may need it. And we actually have some new technology that has helped us with any restrictions. There really isn't any anymore. We have technology that works for people who no longer have a landline phone. So we do have wireless technology now. It's excellent. So basically just plugs into electricity, so you no longer need to have a landline, which was always one of the restrictions with Lifeline.
That was used to be criteria, yes.
Exactly. So I'm glad that we have the opportunity to talk to you again so that we can update you on some of the new technologies that we are coming out with, or that Philips Lifeline is providing. It is a month-to-month service. If anyone is interested in Lifeline, they just need to call our office and ask for the Lifeline program. We'll explain how the service works. We're more than happy to send out information. If there is interest, then we can go ahead and set up an appointment for an installation, and basically you're in. It being a month-to-month program really allows people who, even if they just need this kind of help for a limited amount of time.
I was going to say temporarily. Maybe you've broken an ankle or a foot, or temporarily just laid up, as we used to say.
Absolutely.
This is that extra. But again, it almost comes to mind, please don't get mad, but it's the help and I can't get up. No, it's that, but it's much more.
It is that, and it is much more. And I think, again, we are an aging population, but we're an active population, and we want to remain in our homes, and we want to have quality of life. And Lifeline really is an opportunity for someone to go about their normal activity and feel safe that if they needed assistance, they could get it with just a push of a button.
And is that a button? Is it as a kind of a pendant or something one wears?
Mm-hmm. It's a pendant that's worn either either around the neck or the wrist. One of the most important things that I always want to impart is that it's 100% waterproof. The medical community, when they know that, it's really important for them to understand, because obviously the bathroom is a very
treacherous.
It's a treacherous place for all of us, not just for seniors. And with our auto alert technology, our Lifeline with auto alert has that added layer of fall protection embedded in it. So if our subscribers wearing the auto alert button and they were to fall, if they were unable to push the button, it would automatically send a signal in for them. And Philips Lifeline is the only product or the only service that has that added technology embedded in their services.
That's amazing, because it is. The first thing you want to think is, oh, I don't want to ruin it, I'll take it off. And then there you are, most of the slips and the falls. And September is usually fall month. It's the National Falls Prevention Days coming up.
Yes. We were just talking about that. And the beauty of the Lifeline service, too, is, as I mentioned, to go about your normal activity. You can be out in your yard watering your garden. And if you were to need assistance out in your yard and you were wearing your button, you could surely push the button and you would be able to get assistance. And it being 24 hours, there's always someone live to answer a signal. And we manage it here locally in New Orleans, and we service it locally. So you know who you're working with. And we really do make every effort to keep our subscribers safe.
Now, Jane, a little bit more about this. And folks, I haven't forgot about everybody over here. It's just always, this is such an interesting portion. But so first of all, let's go back a little bit and talk about, or if you'll give the phone number or website address or whatever is best for someone who's listening right now, because I imagine there are quite a few people who are rushing to get that pen and paper to write this down. So
Absolutely.
First, if you'll go ahead
Sure.
and do that.
For any of our services, they can reach out to Jewish Family Service. Our phone number is 831-8475. If you are interested in Lifeline, just ask to speak with the Lifeline group, or you can call extension 128. And then we also, you can go to our website for more information at jfsneworleans.org.
And that's very good. And again, if 24-hour service, so if something happens, they get to an emergency person
Anytime.
first, and then they contact family.
Well,
Is that
actually, we
correct?
work on a care plan. Each of our subscribers has an individual care plan, and we basically make calls based on their lifestyle, how they want to set it up. We know that 97% of the signals that Lifeline receives on a daily basis, people just need assistance. They do not need medical transport. And so, as you mentioned earlier, our goal is it helps families not have that unneeded ride to the emergency room, and it also helps cut back on unnecessary emergency room, so it helps with the medical field as well. It's preventative, and it just allows people to get the help they need and not to be rushed off to the emergency room.
Terry, I think it's also important to note that one of the factors I think that distinguishes our program is our use of volunteers to interact with our subscribers. So each month we have distributed all the subscribers to all of our volunteers, and I believe there are 30 plus volunteers. Those subscribers are called each month to test the equipment. And you talked about the homemakers and that they might be the first line of defense in noticing something going on with a client. And that info is then relayed back to Fran, who then might contact the family to tell them to further investigate what's going on with the client. But in the case of Lifeline, it's often the volunteer who has developed a relationship with a Lifeline subscriber, who is maybe the first person that recognizes some change in the subscriber. There's in how they talk, or maybe their memory of the individual calling them, and that's, we feel, a really important aspect of our program.
I think it's a marvelous idea. It just, again, it's another layer
It is
of
another
help,
layer.
of protection, of service. And I'm wondering if this goes back, Fran, to you, and more how it relates to maybe other older adult programs and things.
Well, one of the programs that we have that's volunteer-based is the Visiting Friends program, and we pair volunteers with a friend who is homebound or partially homebound, and we match them based on mutual interests and personality. So these are people who would really get along and have things in common, but we have a visitor who's able to travel to see their friend, just to have conversation, to play a game of cards, to really bring socialization into their lives.
And this is great. So you find out if it may be chess, or they like to play a little bridge, or maybe is it even as something as simple as they have a favorite television program, but it's nice if someone enjoys watching that with them, or just
Exactly.
that idea of companionship, and I would think keeping your brain active.
Having someone to socialize with is so important that that's something that really helps people stay engaged in the world and really helps fight depression, to have a friend to check in with you and just see how you're doing.
I was going to say that almost, now it seems like it almost goes full cycle back over to Rachel, because you're talking about that. Anyone can suffer from depression. I mean, again, just over a month or more ago when Robin Williams committed suicide, and everybody was so shocked. My goodness, they all talked about this lovely, talented comedian, always a funny guy, but that can mask depression. And you can see a lot of that in older adults, too, just I think through the process of aging, but you're the experts, and just that idea of isolation, maybe not having anybody around them. How do you deal with all this? Everybody kind of comes in and you have individual, do you do group therapy? How does it all work?
Sure. Certainly depending on the circumstances, we do have our individual and family counseling. We also have case management services. Case management is more for clients who have basic needs that aren't being met. They need to change their housing situation. They are struggling financially. Something has changed in their family situation, their housing situation, their car needs repair. It really could be anything, but it's more of logistics, whereas counseling is more really focusing on the mental health. We do have 2 ongoing groups. One is Girl Power, which is for adolescent girls, and it's a social skills and self-esteem building group. And I lead that group, and we're going on our 8th session over the past couple of years, and it runs for 6 weeks. And it really works on building confidence, dealing with bullies, choosing good friends, body image, all the things that adolescent girls are dealing with. And then our other group, I'm going to let Fran talk a little bit about, is our Parents of Troubled Adults support group.
Okay. And Fran, please.
So Parents of Troubled Adults is a support group, and we have a little bit of a different model from a typical support group in that we invite experts who can speak to different aspects of dealing with somebody with either substance abuse or mental illness. We have our next meeting coming up, and we have Cecile Thibault, who is a wonderful resource in the community. She's worked with the police department, and she will be doing a presentation on coping with a crisis and how to respond to a family member experiencing a mental health crisis. And it is a free meeting open to the public. However, it is just for family members. So we do screen participants. So to get more information about where exactly the meeting is going to be, please call me, and that is 504-831-8475 at Jewish Family Service.
All right. And Fran, please, as I said, people hear and then, let me run and get something to write with. So please, that number one more time.
Of course, that's 504-831-8475.
Very good. Now, we were talking about not only the situation here with parents of adolescents or others who are adult who have problems. The girl power, again, building self-esteem, and everything I've always ever read is that the younger the better, so that girls do feel strong. They feel vibrant. They can hold their own. And that's particularly important because, like I said, I mentioned Robin Williams a little bit ago, and teen life counts. Unfortunately, we've seen an uptick in young suicides, and it's just heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And I know that you've had teen life counts for quite some time, but Michael, you said there have been some changes in the program.
So we developed teen life counts about 30 years ago. It was a group of social workers in our agency who saw a need in the community, and they developed this program. We are very connected with a national organization called the Association American Association of Suicidology. That's the national professional organization for professionals that are interested in this area, and they are very aware of all the research that's being conducted in methods to deliver this information to people of all ages. We're very concerned about the problem of suicide in this region. If you look at the statistics, the situation is very grim. We are concerned when there is a young person who feels that their only choice is to take their own life. And it's a devastating circumstance. We were very sorry to hear about Robin Williams, but sometimes when someone famous is, when it's widely publicized that there is a suicide, often there are people that try and replicate that and copy that.
And it seems like such a shame. I'm always hoping that when you have a tragedy, it will inspire others to come forth and talk and get help. And yet this seemed, we found out later, especially I believe it was in St. Tammany Parish, where they've had a very high incidence, I think fourth in the state, and it did go that way.
So one of the things that we do every year is that we attend the National Association meeting, find out the latest research in this area, and we take that information and incorporate that into our program. This year we've done a major rewrite of our curriculum. We have a new coordinator, Laura Gross, who has helped us to bring into the curriculum the latest research findings in the area of suicide prevention, and awareness. We are starting down a pathway of obtaining, we talked earlier about getting evidence-based status. There are programs that are referred to as best practices programs. So we are going to be submitting our curriculum to the American Association of Suicidology to get their approval of the work that we do so that they can certify for us that our program is effective, that our program is achieving what we want it to achieve.
And it could become a model for so many others.
We hope that it will. We think that the program that we have, which is driven by volunteers, which are trained and supervised individuals, many of them are retired educators and people that work in the mental health field. They go into the local public schools. We're now in about 50 schools in the region. Last year we interacted with over 7,000 students. And what is taught in the program is that it's okay to reach out to a trusted adult and tell them that you're having a problem, that there are resources in the community, the 211 number, and their crisis services. There's a national suicide emergency line that people can call, but the 211 number is a great number. It's easy to remember. If anybody is having trouble in this area, they have trained and competent people to help them. So what we try and do is to teach the students about suicide, the warning signs, and to be able to feel comfortable to talk about that with someone that they trust.
And that's something that United Way has pushed very much on our website and some of the things that we had done, that it's okay to talk about it. That is the very first step. Folks, I'm not going to believe it. We are almost out of time. We literally have about 2 minutes left. There was something I really wanted you to read a little bit of, Michael. I don't know if we have enough time. Can you tell us a little bit? Because it just shows, or everybody listening today, I hope you understand just how important Jewish Family Service is to the community.
First of all, we want to thank you, Terry, for inviting us. The United Way has been important to Jewish Family Service for decades. We appreciate your support and the commitment to the work that we do. But a few weeks after Thanksgiving, we received a letter from one of our clients, which I think illustrates beautifully the essence of who we are at the agency. And the note said that my wife of 60 years died a few weeks ago after being ill for 11 months. We never needed any help from anyone in taking care of the house, but as my wife got sicker, I just couldn't handle the demands of cooking and cleaning and laundry and yard work and doctor visits. That's where Jewish Family Service came in. You supplied us with a homemaker who came weekly to help us. Having a homemaker gave us something that I knew was slipping away rapidly, time. I'll never forget the Jewish Family Service provided me with a homemaker that allowed me to spend quality time with my wife in the weeks leading up to her death. I wish I had the ability to let you know how grateful we were and how much we appreciated the priceless gift that you created for us. The enclosed small donation could not possibly pay for what you did for us, but perhaps it may help others in the community create lasting memories as it did for me.
And Michael, I think that's the most beautiful letter, and that's how we're going to end the show today, but you'll all be coming back, right?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Thank
Michael
you so
Steiner,
much.
Executive Director of Jewish Family Service of Greater New Orleans, Rachel Lazarus Erickson, Director of Clinical Services, Jane Levine, Lifeline Representative Program Coordinator, and Fran Deinhardt, Clinical Social Worker and Older Adult Coordinator. I'm Terry Westerfield, and for United Way, please join me, everyone. Live
Live
United.